When I started learning AI agents, the content was everywhere, but the order was nowhere. Tutorials assumed you either knew nothing or everything. Framework comparisons with zero context on when to use what. MCP deep dives before you even understood what a tool was. I wasted weeks jumping between LangChain, CrewAI, Autogen, and the OpenAI SDK, building half finished projects that taught me nothing. Then I stepped back and mapped out the actual learning path, the order that would have saved me months. 9 phases, zero fluff, from what even is an agent to deploying one in production. If you're starting from scratch in 2026, or if you've been stuck in tutorial hell, this is the roadmap I wish someone had given me. Phase 0, and this is the most important phase, is the mental model. Before you touch a single framework, you need to answer one question. Does your problem actually need an agent? This is the single most common mistake in the entire AI agent space. People build agents when a simple API call would do, or they build multi agent systems when a single agent with good tools would handle it. Here's the rule: if your task is linear, do A, then B, then C. You don't need an agent. You need a workflow, a script, a pipeline. Agents are for tasks where the path isn't known in advance, where the AI needs to decide what to do next based on what it just learned. Customer support, where the conversation could go anywhere. Research, where the agent needs to search, read, evaluate, and search again. Code generation, where the agent needs to write, test, fix, and iterate. If you can draw a flowchart of every possible path before you start, it's a workflow. If you can't, it's an agent. Get this wrong, and you'll spend weeks building something that should have been 20 lines of code. Phase 1: pick your stack and stop second guessing. This is where most beginners get paralyzed. There are over 120 agent tools across 11 categories in 2026. You don't need to learn all of them. You need to pick one stack and go deep. Here's the decision tree: language, Python or TypeScript. Both are mature, both have great framework support. Pick the language you already know. Do not learn a new language and a new paradigm at the same time. Framework: if you need stateful workflows with complex branching, error recovery, and human in the loop, LangGraph. It's used by Uber, Klarna, LinkedIn, and 400 plus companies in production. If you want rapid prototyping with role based agents, CrewAI. Easiest learning curve: get something running in minutes. If you want minimal abstraction with clean handoffs between agents, OpenAI Agents SDK. And if you want safety first with extended thinking, Anthropic's Agent SDK. My recommendation for beginners: start with CrewAI to understand the concepts. Then move to LangGraph when you need production grade control. Don't framework hop. Pick one and build 3 projects with it before you even look at another. Phase 2: the 4 core primitives. This is the foundation everything else builds on. Every agent framework, no matter how complex, is built from the same 4 building blocks. Primitive 1: the model. This is the brain. GPT, Claude, Gemini, Llama. Doesn't matter which. What matters is understanding that the model is a reasoning engine, not a knowledge base. It decides what to do next. It doesn't know things. It figures things out. Primitive 2: tools. These are the hands. Tools let your agent interact with the real world, search the web, query a database, send an email, read a file, write code. Without tools, your agent is just a chatbot with extra steps. Primitive 3: memory. This is the context. Short term memory is the conversation history within a single session. Long term memory persists across sessions. Things your agent learned yesterday that it needs to remember today. Vector databases, conversation stores, knowledge graphs. These are all memory implementations. Primitive 4, prompting. This is the personality. The system prompt defines who your agent is, what it should do, and how it should behave. A well crafted system prompt is the difference between an agent that wastes tokens going in circles and one that executes with precision. Master. These four and any framework becomes learnable fast. They're all just different ways of wiring together models, tools, memory, and prompts. Phase 3. Build something that runs. Not production ready, not scalable, not beautiful. Just working. This is where the real learning happens. The feedback loop of write, run, observe, iterate is how you actually internalize these concepts. No amount of tutorials replaces this. Here are 3 starter projects in order of difficulty. Project 1, a research agent. Give it a topic, it searches the web, reads multiple sources, and writes a summary. This teaches you tools and basic prompting. You'll learn how to give an agent access to a search API and how to structure its output. Project 2, a code review agent. Point it at a GitHub pull request. It reads the diff, analyzes the changes, and posts review comments. This teaches you memory and multi step reasoning. The agent needs to understand context across multiple files. Project 3, a customer support agent. It answers questions from a knowledge base, escalates to a human when it's unsure, and logs every interaction. This teaches you human in the loop patterns and when agents should stop and ask for help. Build all 3 in that order. Each one layers on new concepts from the previous one and commit every version to Git. You'll want to look back at your progression. Phase 4, MCP, the Model Context Protocol. Once you've hand coded 3 or 4 tool integrations, you'll notice a pattern. Every tool needs the same boilerplate: input schema, output format, error handling, authentication. MCP standardizes all of this. Think of it like USB for AI tools. Before USB, every device had its own proprietary connector. MCP does the same thing for agent tools. One standard protocol. Any tool that speaks MCP works with any agent that supports it. In 2026, all 5 major frameworks have added MCP support. There are MCP servers for GitHub, Slack, databases, browsers, file systems, APIs. Hundreds of integrations available out of the box. But here's the key insight that most tutorials miss. You should not start with MCP. Build your first tools by hand. Understand the plumbing. Then switch to MCP when hand coding stops scaling. If you start with MCP, you'll know how to connect things, but not how they work underneath. And when something breaks, and it will break, you won't know where to look. Phase 5, Evals. This is the most skipped phase in the entire agent learning path. And it's the one that separates hobby projects from production systems. Here's the problem. Agents are non-deterministic. You give the same agent the same input twice, and it might take different paths, use different tools, and produce different outputs. Manual testing gives you false confidence. You run it 5 times, it works, you ship it. Then it fails on the 6th run in production, and you have no idea why. Evals fix this by giving you systematic, repeatable measurement. There are 3 types you need to know. Type 1, code graders. Deterministic checks. Did the output contain the required fields? Is the JSON valid? Did the agent call the right tools? These are binary, pass or fail. Type 2, model graders. You use another AI model to evaluate your agent's output. Rate this response on accuracy from 1 to 5. Does this answer address the user's question? These are probabilistic but scale better than human review. Type 3, human graders. Real people reviewing agent outputs. Most expensive but highest signal. Use these for edge cases and calibrating your model graders. Start with code graders. They're the easiest to implement and catch the most obvious failures. Then add model graders for quality. Then human graders for the cases that matter most. If you're not measuring, you're guessing. And guessing doesn't scale. Phase 6. Go full stack. Most agent tutorials end at console.log. They show you how to build an agent that runs in a terminal and prints its output. That's not a product, that's a demo. Real agent applications need a full stack. Here's what that means: persistence. Your agent's state needs to survive server restarts. Conversation history, task progress, user preferences, all stored in a database, not in memory, message history. Real users have conversations that span hours, days, weeks. Your agent needs to load, manage, and prune conversation history efficiently. Streaming. Nobody wants to stare at a loading spinner for 30 seconds. Your agent needs to stream its responses token by token and stream its tool calls so users can see what it's doing in real time. API layer. Your agent needs an API that other services can call, REST or WebSocket, with proper authentication, rate limiting, and error handling. Human in the loop. Your agent needs to know when to stop and ask a human for help, and the human needs an interface to review, approve, or override the agent's decisions. Youth. Who is allowed to use this agent? What data can each user access? Multi-tenant isolation is critical if multiple users share the same agent. This is the phase where most self-taught developers get stuck. Building agents is fun. Building the infrastructure around them is engineering. Phase 7. Was deploy. Deploying an agent is not like deploying a regular API. There are problems that will catch you off guard if you're not ready. Streaming. Most hosting platforms assume request response. Agent conversations can last minutes. You need WebSocket support or server sent events, and your infrastructure needs to handle long lived connections without timing out. Timeouts. A typical API call takes 200 milliseconds. An agent tool call can take 30 seconds. A full agent run can take 5 minutes. Your load balancer, your reverse proxy, your cloud function, they all have timeout defaults that will kill your agent mid-thought. Cost monitoring. Agents can burn through tokens fast. A runaway loop where the agent calls the same tool 50 times can cost you hundreds of dollars in minutes. You need per request cost tracking and circuit breakers. Partial failures. Your agent calls 5 tools. 3 succeed, 2 fail. What do you do? Retry, skip, ask the user. You need a failure strategy before you deploy, not after. Cold starts. If you're on serverless, loading your agent's model, tools, and context from scratch takes time. Users will notice. Consider keeping warm instances or using edge deployment. Log everything. Every tool call, every model response, every decision point. When something goes wrong in production, and it will, your logs are the only thing between a quick fix and a 3-day debugging nightmare. Phase 8. Think like an architect. This is where you stop being someone who builds agents and start being someone who designs agent systems. Skills as composable behaviors. Instead of building monolithic agents that do everything, build small, focused skills that can be composed together: a search skill, a summarize skill, a code review skill. Mix and match them to create agents for different use cases. Intentional state management. Every piece of data your agent touches should have a clear life cycle. When is it created? When is it updated? When is it deleted? Sloppy state management is the number one cause of agent bugs in production. Design patterns from real systems. The supervisor pattern. One agent manages a team of specialist agents. The reflection pattern. The agent reviews its own output before submitting. The plan and execute pattern. The agent creates a plan, then executes it step by step, checking progress along the way. These patterns aren't theoretical. They're running in production at companies processing millions of agent requests per day. Learn them, internalize them. And then, here's the secret: break them when they don't fit. The best agent architects know the rules well enough to know when to break them. Before we wrap up, here are the exact resources I'd use if I was starting today. For LangGraph, the official LangGraph Academy course. It's free and it's the best structured learning path for the framework. For OpenAI Agents SDK, the cookbook on GitHub. Real examples, not toy demos. For MCP, the official Model Context Protocol documentation at modelcontextprotocol.io. It's surprisingly well written. For Evals, Brain Trust and Prompt Foo. Both have free tiers and excellent documentation. For deployment, modelandfly.io for serverless agent hosting. Both handle long-running processes and WebSockets natively. And for staying current, the Latent Space podcast and Simon Willison's blog. They cover every major development in the agent space within days of it happening. One more thing, the agent ecosystem moves fast. Frameworks that were hot 6 months ago might be deprecated today. The primitives don't change. Models, tools, memory, prompting. But the implementations evolve constantly. Learn the primitives deeply. Hold the frameworks loosely. That's the roadmap. 9 phases. From mental model to production architect. If you want to save this for reference, I'm dropping a visual version of this entire roadmap in the comments. Screenshot it. And if you're building with Claude Code specifically, I wrote a 44-page beginner's guide that covers everything from installation to advanced workflows. Link is in the description. Drop a comment and tell me which phase you're currently at. Phase 0? Phase 3? Phase 7? I genuinely want to know where this community is. And if this roadmap saved you from the tutorial hell I went through, subscribe. I've got deep dives on each of these phases coming. See you in the next one.